What is happening? Thank you guys tuning in to another episode of the Agent to CEO podcast. And I'm excited to continue the conversation around our coaching and leadership skill set and capabilities. Little series run that we've been doing here on the podcast. So if you hadn't had a chance to catch the previous episodes as we've been diving into all things coaching and leadership related here in this solo run episodes that we have here on the podcast. We've gone through the fundamentals of coaching and leadership, the context of that relationship between coach and client, our coach code results framework. We dove into emotional intelligence, and I'm really excited today to really start to unpack some of the principles and practices that we really embody when it comes to the coaching and leadership framework and dynamics. So I want to kind of kick things off here with today's conversation as we really start to jump in and unpack, like I said, the principles and practices. But those principles and practices are at the heart of everything we do. Okay. Yeah, we unpacked it, some of the things that got us to this point. But this is really where it starts to tap into our inner passion, maybe inner purpose, and starts with uncovering why we do what we do, what fills our heart and soul. And listen, everyone is different and each person has their own unique story. So what's yours? Here's a really cool distinction that was, made aware to me just a couple of months ago. And it was really the distinction between passion and purpose. And I've never heard it articulated or kind of framed up this way. A passion is something you love doing. A purpose is something you love doing that helps other people. I like that definition of purpose. And that's what I want to run with here, right? Starts by tapping into your inner purpose and starts to uncover why you do what you do and what fills your heart. So the first part we want to start is really our why. It's that purpose, what we were meant to be doing. And listen, we all know many people that lack any type of purpose. And they're usually a ship lost at sea is the right way to think about people without purpose. They are like that ship at sea without a rudder. The sails are up and that ship, that vessel is moving with whatever way the current and the wind is blowing. And we know a lot of individuals, we all do, that are just a ship lost at sea without their rudder. But where we can lock that rudder in, and more importantly, lock it in place to get us moving in the direction we want to go, really starts why we do what we do. When we start talking about the whole why process, it comes down to understanding that the formula is our contribution so that we can have the greatest impact. Okay. It's not only on ourselves and those that we are leading, but also our community as a whole. By those that we are leading, we also mean our family, our friends, our key relationships. We dive a little bit deeper into that process and understand what's my contribution. Okay. What am I the best in the world at? What is it that if you could do every day, it would never feel like work? It would be fun, something you love, and you would never have to have external factors motivating you. See, the reason we talked about emotional intelligence prior to unpacking, you know, the core principles and practices is because you have to understand motivation, which is a core key tenet of emotional intelligence, comes from within. Nobody can motivate us. People can inspire us, but motivation comes from within. What is your heart telling you that you're the best in the world at, that you are meant to be doing? And sometimes we need a little bit of perspective. We need a little bit of help. Okay. When we seek to unpack the why process, not only do we gain greater clarity about what truly matters in our life, but we also discover new opportunities for growth and transformation, because that's what it's about. It's about transformation. And it's the transformation that we are going through, but also the transformation and the journey that we have an opportunity to help others navigate through as well. And when we start, looking at that, it helps us make every step along the way an exciting journey towards that fulfillment. So the question, what is your superpower? Because listen, we all have it. We all have a superpower. What is yours? And once we start to kind of go through this process, and we start to really look at it, you start to see how it plays out in your day-to-day life. Think about if you could live your life doing that thing, right? That's it. You wake up every day. That is your thing. That is your lane that you're going to run down. What would be the impact you would be able to have? What fulfills you? Our fulfillment, our impact, remember, it's not the finish line. It's about really reaching the greatest potential that we all have inside of us. Okay? So if you're ready to start pursuing your greatest impact, you have to dig deep into your why. And you can just see what comes from that and comes from that process. Remember, what are you the best in the world at, so that you can do that thing that's going to give you the greatest amount of fulfillment? Okay. Mine's real simple. Inspire and challenge people to think bigger so that they can transform their life and therefore transform their business. Right things, right order. It's what gives me the most fulfillment, is seeing the transformation. And I know I'm meant to inspire and challenge you guys to think bigger, because I know one thing to be true: 20 years in this game, almost 14 years of one-on-one coaching. Everybody thinks too small. For our present to be better, our future has to be bigger. If you're not happy with your present situation, it's because your future is not big enough. Why are you doing what you do? The second core principle and practice, once we know kind of why we do what we do and what we're meant to be doing, is really starting to unlock the perfect day. This is more of a typical Tuesday than just that fantasy day, right? And there's a formula that we go through. This is about creating a decision filter in finding balance. Okay. My definition of balance is just be present, just be where your feet are. That's my definition of balance, right? It's never a perfect wheel. Sometimes we're spending more time and energy, on our wealth, our business, and sometimes our relationships and our health kind of take a little bit of a back seat. They're not absent. We're just not full throttle like we might be on one of the other equities in our life. Listen, be wherever your feet are. Just be present wherever you can be. So, creating decision filters, finding balance, moving closer to our perfect day. So the perfect day exercise comes down to essentially having to live the day over and over again. Visualize. This is where you get to live in the creative. We're in such a creative world. It is like the biggest opportunity that we've had to understand that we really all have a blank canvas in front of us. What do we want to do? Where do we want to go? And so it starts with the visualization. Visualize yourself doing what you love doing without being held back by limitations and consequences. No limitations means you don't have to worry about money, health, location, people. And no consequences means having it safe. You won't get in trouble, get arrested, or die. Sorry, guys, your perfect day can't be the purge. So here's the question you have to ask yourself. If there are no limitations or consequences, what does your perfect average day look like? Typical Tuesday. Okay. So when we start to craft our perfect day, by crafting the perfect day, it's giving us decision-making filters that allow us to make decisions faster. Talked about this over and over and over on this podcast. If you're not moving as fast as you want, it's because your decisions is off. It's taking you too long to make solid decisions. And the reason is because you don't have decision-making filters in your life, in your business. Let me say this a different way. You're not aware of the decision filters that you have in your life. We've already talked about on this podcast the importance of core values. Do you know what core values are? Just decision-making filters. Do you know what a big, hairy, audacious goal, top of the mountain that we're in pursuit of, you know what that is? That's a decision-making filter. Am I moving closer or am I moving further away? This is why if you want to unlock freedom in your business and in your life, this, besides the math, right? Besides the math, this is the other component of moving you closer to freedom. Our vision of a perfect day gives us a framework to be able to make better decisions faster. The speed of our accomplishments is directly in proportion to the speed of our decisions. The perfect day exercise allows us to be where we want to be, whether with our fitness, our health, wealth building, business building, or deepening of our relationships. It allows us to uncover who we are at our core. Principle in practice number 3, the river. Life is not a linear process. It's not just a straight line from A to B, right? Born, die. It's not a straight line. It is not that linear process. There will be periods of fast progress, whitewater sections where you have to battle real hard just to stay afloat. There's calmer and steadier currents. Times when you drift along without really going anywhere. Moments when you get stuck and you have to get out and push. Whirlpools that threaten to suck you under. The backslide where you end up going back even though you're paddling hard forward. Flooding that threatens to overwhelm you. And there could even be a drought where everything dries up and things are really, really tough, right? This too shall pass. Our job as a coach and a leader is to point out wherever you are in the process. We are there to push them along and support them in that journey. We help them get around the treacherous underlying currents and get them through the dark waters. That's our job. We celebrate with them in their ability to get through the difficult parts. We can sense turbulence under the surface and are able to call it out. We help them explore where they're at in the journey. We help the client, team member, acknowledge the experience that they're having. Right? You got to help them be aware. We can't change what we don't acknowledge. They hold the key to their own transformation. We just need to help them find it by acknowledging the experience they're having. We provide a space for them to shift and change. And that's when the real work begins. We help them feel the momentum so they can keep moving forward on their journey. Our fundamentals and our contexts allow us to feel when the change is happening. When the shift happens, new thinking is taking place, which then opens up new emotions and allows us to take better action right? We went through the results framework. Emotions is a feeling. Positive emotions, positive feelings allow us to take positive, better, stronger actions. As we're taking actions with our courage, right? Because once we make a commitment, then it's all about courage, the courage to voice it, the courage to do the thing, the courage to stand in it. It opens up new resources and helps us develop new capabilities to capture wins and build confidence. Number 4, this is the big one. This one really is almost the wrapper around the thinking and everything that we do. And it's TOC, theory of constraints. Listen, my belief is that there's a code and a sequence to unlock anything in our life. That's my belief. The right things in the right order can exponentially unlock the results that we're trying to achieve for ourselves. We have to understand that there is always a constraint somewhere in the process, whether it is in terms of our results model, business model, sales model. There will always be some aspect of our process that puts limits on what we can accomplish. In anything that we're looking at, there is always a constraint. And a constraint is like a water hose. You can turn it on and the water doesn't come out like it should. Or it takes a moment once you turn the water on for the water to start pouring down to the end of the hose. So it's a process that it goes through. If the water is not flowing correctly, there could be a kink in the water hose that you have to uncover and fix. And that is just the constraint we are looking for. This was brought to our attention by a mentor of ours with his number one book recommendation of all time. All business owners, entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs, everybody that he works with has to understand this theory of constraints. This was all made popular to us by the book by Eli Goldratt called The Goal. Now, that same mentor, his number one book recommendation for 2026 is by Dan Heath called Reset. And inside of Reset, which I highly recommend getting, in fact, it was one of the books that I gave to attendees at Kitchen Table in March. There are 16 pages, condensed 16 pages on theory of constraints. It is the best condensed version of theory of constraints you'll ever read. It is an awesome book. It is just worth getting for that chapter alone. You have to understand this. If you follow Alex Hormozi, you know Alex operates under theory of constraints. It is so important that you grasp this because now you can strategize a lot better. Because you know what a good strategy is? Solving the right problem. You know what a bad strategy is? Not even acknowledging or addressing the problem. And it's because you're not problem aware. You don't have a process to identify the constraint in the model in whatever you're trying to do. Once you know the constraint, then you can put all energy and effort on solving it. That's a great strategy. Remember, what we reveal, we can heal. We have to find and address the constraints that are holding us back and activate them in ways that allow us to achieve exponentially greater levels of success. Taking it to another level of understanding, coaching, and leadership are the most critical in addressing these constraints. We believe there are no business problems. Okay? There are only leadership problems. You don't have a better, bigger business if you don't. You have to be a better, bigger leader. The size of your business is elastic to the size of your leadership capabilities. To increase our coaching and leadership capabilities, we have to see where the constraint is and what's holding us back. Theory of constraints. Critical that you grasp this. And number 5, man, we must be reminded more than we need to be told. Remember this context. Remember this. It's so hard for alpha D driving personalities to get this because we don't want to repeat ourselves. We don't. And I get it. I don't like repeating myself. I don't like it at all. However, for my growth as a leader, as my growth as a coach, I can never lose sight that people, us humans, we have to be reminded more than we need to be told. So the old rule of 7 is an old marketing adage that says a prospect needs to see or hear your marketing message at least 7 times before they take action and buy from you. I think that number is a lot greater, but this is just the rule of 7. Like I said, it's an old marketing adage. I think it's more a rule of 27. It's funny that that's our mantra here on the team. And I took it from an MGK song, 27. So I'm just making it up. But hey, listen, 73% of statistics are made up anyway. So at least we can make up our own. No, I just know from experience, realistically, it is in the 20s. It is in the 20s is where they need to see and hear the message. Now, scientifically, as a team member, you need to hear the message 7 to 9 times before you start to believe this is the direction we're going to go. I'm just going to tell you, whatever you think the number of impressions that you're putting in front of your ideal prospect, your ideal client, I can just tell you it's not enough. Okay. The reasoning behind this principle, it's rooted in human psychology. People tend to ignore messages that they see or hear too often, especially if they are not yet convinced of the message's validity. Therefore, repeated exposure plays an important role in message retention. In the world of marketing, right? Because we all know the best real estate agent never wins. The best leader never wins. The best negotiator never wins. The best sales person never wins. The best marketer always wins. And the best marketer takes the top 3 pole positions. We're in the middle of we're down to the final 4 in the World Cup. You don't make it to the final 4 unless you're a world-class marketer. Top 3, for sure. It's all about being the best marketer that you can possibly be. So in the world of marketing, getting your message out there is key. You need to be able to capture the attention of potential clients and make an impression that sticks. According to the research, 7 to 9 impressions, that's in the door. I'm telling you, it's in the 20s. In fact, one of the latest statistics I heard from Frank Kern was north of 21. That's why we kind of joke going off 27. 27 impressions. Whatever it is, it's not enough, especially in such a noisy world that we live in. What this means is that we must focus on getting our message in front of people multiple times so that they start to associate it with your business. While there are many different philosophies and strategies when it comes to succeeding in business, one of our great mentors, Mr. Vern Harnish, had one simple philosophy that he really poured into us. Follow a handful of rules and repeat them often. When it comes to inspiring people to take action, there is no substitute for repetition. If people aren't taking actions, they haven't been touched enough. They haven't been reminded enough. One of the worst things leaders can do is not repeat themselves enough, constantly changing direction and putting new messages out there to truly instill an important message in people's minds. Leaders must repeatedly drive home the same concepts. until they stick. There it is, guys. Those are the key 5 coaching principles and practices. Develop your why process. What are you the best in the world at, so that you get to do that thing that's going to have the greatest fulfillment in your life. Remember the difference between passion and purpose. Passion is something you love doing. Purpose is something you love doing that helps other people. Are you clear? Are you helping others get clear on their perfect day? Understand life's a river and things are constantly changing on that journey. We grasp, we know, we got it. We live, we operate, we think through theory of constraints, and we know it's okay to repeat ourselves often. Guys, I would love to hear your biggest takeaway from this episode. Post it in the comments wherever you're hearing this. DM me, whatever you got to do. I would absolutely love to hear what your takeaways are from this. If you're loving these, coaching and leadership principle episodes, kind of this run that we've been doing, would love your feedback. And listen, like I said it just a few minutes ago, if you're not where you want to be in your business, it's because your leadership capabilities aren't where they need to be. For your business to be bigger, you have to be better, a better leader, a better coach, a better mentor, a better friend, just better human all the way around. Share those takeaways, and can't wait to catch you guys on the next episode. Y'all keep getting after it. Keep making it happen.